Well, hello again. I don't know, you wait months for a vlog and two come along at once, but hey, why not? It's my birthday, and I can be self-indulgent if I want, and I do want. So we have another question from Profitica. This time it's comics related, so those people who don't like the comics related vlogs might as well just turn off now. And that's, do you have any tips or particular pitfalls to avoid while inking or lettering? I'm not really going to talk much about inking, mainly because I don't do very much now, and that's a big, very technical subject. For one, I digitally ink now, but I think it's important if you're inking to know what you're doing non-digitally with a brush or a pen, so you know what kind of effect you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to emulate with the digital inking. As much as I don't think that there's any point to trying to hide that it's digitally inked, I do think it's important to understand the artistic side, that it's not, and it's very much not just a technical skill. I would say when you're digital inking, zoom out often. It's very easy to get zoomed in and focused on the little tiny bit that you're doing, and you spend ages focused on this one spot, and it might be that big, and nobody's going to notice that. Zoom out, get the bigger picture, and I could get into a lot with inking, and the mistakes that people make, but it's hard to do it without visual reference, and I'm not technically sophisticated enough to do that. I mean, it would be great if I could bring up, hey, this is what to do, this is what not to do, this is how it, and show you stuff, and that would be fun, and one day I should do that. That would be interesting. And if there's somebody out there with the technical know-how who would like to work with me to produce some comic creation tutorial videos, that might be an interesting project. So get in touch. That'd be cool. But yeah, if you're at a show and you're an inker and I'm there, do come and talk, and I will go through your portfolio and make you want to cry. I see that happen a lot, and I feel really bad when inkers come to shows, because I really get into it with them, and they go, here's my portfolio and it looks lovely, and I'll annoy them by focusing on a corner and say, see, what you're doing wrong here is... But anyway, lettering. The things to avoid when lettering. Avoid using the wrong software, which is the biggest one. I see a lot of people try and letter in Photoshop. That's bad. Or even worse, stuff like Comic Creator Live or whatever it's called. There are various comic creation softwares, packages out there that are aimed at kids, really. Create your own comic, kids! Yay! And people think, that's brilliant, I'll use that to do my professional project. And it is like taking, you spend like 2 years on the artwork, and then you'll take some terrible software package to do the lettering in, and it's like taking this artwork that you spent 2 years on and then having a poo on it. I'm censoring myself for YouTube and the internet. That's good, because I don't usually say poo in that sentence, but there you go. So don't use Illustrator. Freehand will do it as well. Not many people use freehand anymore. CorelDRAW, stuff like that. Use a vector package. They are set up for handling text and for handling vector shapes, which is what speech balloons are and should be. Raster bitmaps, that whole thing. No, it's not good for text. Yes, you'll be, generally speaking, ultimately outputting the files to a raster format, to a bitmap image through Photoshop, but you want to keep them scalable for as long as possible, certainly when you're creating them. So that's the first and the most important thing, pitfall to avoid when lettering. Use Illustrator. I mean, yes, there are freehand. I've been told there are other free vector art packages, but Illustrator is the standard, and that will help. It'll certainly help you understand the tutorials online if you're using the standard lettering software that everybody uses, which is Adobe Illustrator. I do sometimes letter directly in InDesign if that's what the client requires. The only time I've had that is with a book publisher who exclusively work in Illustrator, and are not all that familiar with how comics are generally done, and they wanted to be able to have the control to alter things themselves. And obviously, being a book publisher, they do everything in Illustrator, so that's fine. And you can do it in Illustrator, and it's fine. It's pretty much just as much control as you have in Illustrator, as in when you're working in InDesign. The only problem you have in InDesign, of course, is you're working on a multi-page document, and it can get very big and very slow, and etc. So, Illustrator. The other big pitfall to avoid is when people don't understand the trim, the bleed, and the safe area in particular. If you've ever seen a blue line page for drawing comic art on, you'll see there's a dotted line in the middle, and people don't understand. People are like, what's the point of that? I don't want a stupid dotted line on my artwork. Why is that there? That's annoying me. Why do they put that on? That's the safe area. This is the area that basically anything important should be in, or any important images, certainly any text should fall in. This ensures that it will not be cropped, for one thing, when the book is trimmed to size. And yes, it seems like a big gap, but the tolerances involved. I've worked at a printer's. I used to work for several years at a print firm as their in-house graphic designer, and the tolerances involved in the print industry are quite big, and especially when you're folding round pages, you'll find as the middle ones stick out further, and that all gets cropped. So the middle pages will often be cropped a lot tighter than the outer pages. The other thing is when a book is bound and you open it like that, if the text goes too near to that middle joint, seam, whatever you want to call it, it can be hard to read unless you break the spine, bend it back, and a lot of people don't like to do that with books. They like to open them carefully and not crease the spine. So you want to keep the text central, and if you go on sites like Kablam or Blambot, there are guides to setting up the page. There are, Kablam have a downloadable guide for this stuff, but more importantly, if you're working with another publisher, certainly at Marcosia, I do the pre-press at Marcosia, we have a template that we send out to people. Don't ignore it. If your publisher has given you guidelines for how to set up a page, don't ignore it. Pay attention. If you don't understand, ask questions. Nobody's going to think you're an idiot. They're going to think you're an idiot if you've done 300 pages of lettering and it's not to spec. Then they'll think you're an idiot. If at the start you go, I don't understand what these different areas are. You have, generally, as I set up the template, you have the white area in the middle, which is a safe area. You have a yellow area, which, yes, it should not be cropped. All that stuff should appear on the printed page, but you're taking a risk by putting stuff in there. And you have a red area, which is the area that's designed to be trimmed off. That's what we call the trim. And if you put anything in there, it will be gone. So that's an important thing to understand. Other, mistakes that people make is making their balloons a perfect ellipse. I mean, just pick up a comic, hopefully a well-lettered comic. Pay attention to the fact that the balloons, they're not perfectly ellipses. They're slightly irregular in shape, and there are tutorials online which will explain how to do that in Illustrator. So pay attention and look properly at the lettering in books. Most people have an idea in their head about how comics are lettered and what comic book lettering looks like, but take the time to properly look at it, properly study it, properly look at the different techniques, look at what you think works and what you think doesn't work, and try to do what you think works and avoid what you think doesn't work. I mean, one of the techniques I picked up from especially reading Peter David's writing for comics is the technique of anchoring the balloons to the edge of the panels, having them intersect, rather than trying to fit all the balloons floating in space inside the panel and not touching the border. And once you have them out touching the border, I mean, not as a rule, not always, but it creates a lot more space. And also don't make your balloons too tight around the letters. Free up some white space, because once the balloon is too tight around the text, it becomes hard to read, because you're used to seeing text on a white background, and it can become cramped. It's too cramped and hard to read. And I see amateur lettering, one of the things that I find really stands out about people who are just starting out, and I made the same mistake when I was just starting out, is a lot of long thin balloons. Lots of long thin balloons. When really what you're aiming for is round. Speech balloons are round, so try and get your text round. Okay, so there's some basic advice on inking and lettering. I hope it helps, and I will see you next time on The Ragamuffin Speaks. So long, goodbye. Hopefully this one was better than the last video.